Hello my friends and welcome back once again to Lauren Levels Up. If you're new here then a very warm welcome to you too. Today I wanted to do just a quick get ready with me because I'm heading out tonight for a friend's birthday and it's just going to be quite a casual affair, so didn't want to do anything too glam but at the same time wanted to make a bit of an effort. So I basically came up with what is essentially quite a neutral glam with just some little accents that amp up the glam factor just a touch so it's not overdone basically. So yeah, without further ado I will show you exactly what I did to achieve this look. So I think I'm gonna start with my primer, which primer of the moment for me is the Becca Backlight priming filter. Honestly, love this stuff. Not only does it provide a really nice base for your makeup to stick to, but I've never come across a product that gives such a natural glow to the skin without looking, you know, sometimes you can get that kind of chunky glittery effect and it's just like in the light, particularly like natural sunlight, it's just not flattering at all. Well, this is not like that in the slightest. Just a really, really natural lit from within finish on the skin. Next up for me is always colour corrector, particularly on my nose, which likes to go very, very red. And then I've also just got a couple of these little blemishes around here, which just need a bit of correction as well before I go ahead and do my, my base makeup. And also a mosquito has decided to bite my face, which as you can see looks very, very attractive right here. So that's going to get some green colour corrector on it as well. And then I'm also just going to pop some bit of Tarte Shape Tape underneath my eyes just to neutralise any darkness that's under there. And one thing I've noticed recently is that the darkness underneath my eyes, it's also kind of extending into this inner corner as well, so I have to be quite careful nowadays to get right in there with that kind of peachy colour to neutralise that kind of like purpley blue colour that comes through. Otherwise just, I don't know, must be genetic, something that's happening as I'm getting older, sadly. Foundation, because I do have a couple of little blemishes at the minute, I'm going to amp up the coverage ever so slightly, not really, really heavy coverage, but I'm going to go for a medium coverage foundation in the Too Faced Born This Way. And then for full coverage, just to yeah, add a little bit more coverage and staying power as well, I'm going to use the Decay All Nighter. So I think I'll probably use the majority, maybe 2/3 of the mixture is going to be Born This Way, and then maybe 1/3 of it will be the All Nighter foundation. And for anybody who wonders why I mix foundation on the back of my hand, I wouldn't necessarily do this if I was working on a client, but for hygiene reasons. But the reason that I mix it on my hand whenever I'm doing my own makeup is because I know that I've got clean hands, so it's hygienic, but the warmth of my hand really just helps to kind of blend the two products together, basically. And it also means that by the time it goes onto the face as well, it's nice and kind of blended and ready to mesh into the skin. Do your best as well to not get your foundation in your hair like I've just done. And then as usual, I'm going to be blending that all away with my damp beauty sponge. And what we are essentially left with is all of the beautiful glow of the Born This Way foundation, but with a touch extra coverage and staying power as well. I must say I've never found a foundation as long lasting as the Decay All Nighter, so we're getting a little bit of that in there as well. Next up I need to start putting some dimension and 3D back into my face, just because when we put foundation on, obviously it's to even everything out. So the face tends to look quite flat and 2D and with not much dimension to it. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and do with my Tarte Shape Tape is to brighten and conceal the centre areas of my face. And then those of you who watch my videos will know that I always tend to add a touch of a slightly yellower colour in here as well, just because my skin has a naturally slightly more yellow undertone, so it just means that it blends in a little bit better and suits my natural tones more. And recently I have been taking my concealer right up to my temples. I didn't used to do it because I wasn't too sure whether it would make my face look much wider, because it is quite round already. But what I find is that if I keep that area quite thin, it does lift my face and kind of make my cheekbones look a bit bigger, or bigger. Make my cheekbones stand out more, which is obviously what we all want, particularly if, like me, you have a chubbier face and your cheekbones don't stand out very much. That's what I meant. And then to set those areas that I just concealed and highlighted, I'm going to be using my Hourglass Veil Translucent Powder. I'm struggling to find a powder that is as good as this one, just in terms of the job that it does while still being completely weightless. So the way that I apply that is just to tip some into the lid, onto the same end of my beauty blender that I just used, and then press it in. And it's going to add a little bit of coverage, set those cream areas, and help to brighten as well, actually, a little bit too, even though it is a translucent powder. Now I do want to set the periphery of my face, but I don't want to do it with a product that ends up adding coverage or being quite so matte, just because I don't need it on those areas. So instead I'm going to use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting powder, and again I really love this stuff just because it does the job but without taking away any of the luminosity. And a little trick that I tend to find is that if you make sure you not concentrate a lot of product, but if you make sure that you prioritize the area that you're going to put your contour when you set your base makeup, you might just find that your contour blends a little bit easier than if you hadn't kind of made sure that you've got that that product there to set things. To do my contouring, purely because it is right here in front of me, I'm going to be using my NYX Pro contour palette, and I'm going to be using a mixture of, let me see, these two shades here. So one that has a nice cool undertone to it, because we don't want to use anything too warm in the contour area because we want it to look like real shadow, we don't want it to look false. And then the other one just mixed in just because I wanted something slightly darker. Don't forget to take your chin contour right back to underneath your ears, because that area often gets missed and is what can look a little bit false when we've got that kind of nice flawless texture all over the face, and then potentially a different colour on your ears, because obviously this area doesn't get a lot of sun, but also a difference in texture as well can just make things look a little bit odd, just a little bit off. So it's best to kind of make sure that you get a tiny little bit of product, whatever's left on your sponge or your brush, just into that area. And then I don't tend to do a lot in the way of nose contour. I have a fairly slim nose as it is, although it does have kind of a little crooked edge to it, which is not something I can do much about from the front anyway. So I just tend to swipe a tiny bit of the cool toned powder only, just down the sides to tie everything in with the rest of the contour that I've done. Now, whilst I have my contour palette in my hand, I'm probably just going to quickly do my eyes because I am going to go for a really, really simple and neutral look. And one thing that I like to do when I'm going for a look like this is to use the same product in different areas of my face. So for example, I'm going to use exactly the same 2 contour products that I just used to contour my face as I am to basically contour my eye shape and just add a little bit of depth back in there. So with a large fluffy brush, I'm going to use the same mixture of those 2 colours and just windscreen wiper that backwards and forwards just to put some shape back in the crease and feather it out slightly towards the tail of my brow as well. And then with my slightly smaller, slightly denser fluffy crease brush, I'm going to go into the darkest colour only and just deepen up that outer portion ever so slightly, and also bring it down into the outer corner towards the lash line. And all I'm doing is just putting some shape back into the eye socket in a way that's going to look very, very cohesive with the rest of the look. And then with a slightly smaller brush again, just going to sweep that darkest colour underneath the eye. Not going to take it too far across though, or I risk making my already round eyes look rounder. So keep into the outer third and then just sweeping it up into the colour that we added on the top. And then I think I might just pat a little bit of a completely neutral flesh toned eyeshadow over the inner corner of the eyelid and sweep it backwards just to blend everything in really. Going back to skin, I do like to put my highlighter on before my blush, just because I think it gives a more natural effect when you've got the glow peeking through the blush colour. And I've been absolutely loving the iconic London Illuminator, and this is in the original shade. And what I really like about this product is not only that it's so good, but you just need the tiniest amount. So I think it's really, really good value for money. I'm just going to pop that onto all of the high points of my face, and it just gives the most natural looking lit from within glow that doesn't look like it's sitting on top of your skin at all. Just take the time to blend in with your finger. A little bit on the top of the bridge of the nose. And slightly on the tip of the nose. Cupid's bow. And then I think I'll also just pop some just above the arch of my brow. Like so. And then I'm just going to get a pointy, firm eyeshadow brush and just pop one last little bit on the inner corners of my eyes. Just for a nice, fresh, wide awake look. Time for blush, and I'm going to be using an oldie but a goodie. That is the Revolution Pro Sugar and Spice blush palette. And I think I'm going to go for more of a peachy toned blush. I mean, from the vast majority of skin tones, you cannot go wrong with a peachy tone. So I'm just going to start building up a neutral colour underneath, just to make it easier to blend everything in. And then I'm going to start adding to that my peachy colour. And I do like to build up my blush this way. I don't like to kind of go in with lots of it and whack it on. I do like to build it up slowly and layer different colours just to create a really diffused effect. For a quick brow, I've been loving the Nude Sticks Eyebrow Stylus pencil. It did take me a little bit to get used to, just because the actual nib of the pencil is quite big, I think, in comparison to some other eyebrow pencils. But, and the other thing I would say about this is, if you're going to get one of these, just err on the side of buying a slightly lighter colour than you normally would. This is I think it's their darkest brown one they do, and it is virtually black, which is fine for me. I can just about get away with that, but a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be able to get away with a colour that dark, so just be aware of that if you are going to get one of these. Next up, I'm going to finish eyes, and for that I am going to use my NYX liquid eyeliner pen. If I'm going to be totally honest, I don't think I find this the easiest pen to use, just because the nib is quite long, and I just don't think it allows for quite the same amount of control. It could just be me. Whilst I am a makeup artist, I still struggle to do liquid eyeliner on myself. I have quite a difficult eye shape in that they're quite round, and also that the crease comes down quite low here, so I tend to keep any wing sort of within the crease of my eye. Otherwise what you end up with is the needing to use that technique where if you want to wing your eyeliner out much further, then you have to have a little step in it, which on a normal basis I just cannot be bothered to try and perfect on myself. So I'm going to stick with my normal kind of half wing shape that I do. So I tend to just take it from the no further in than the centre of my eye, probably a little bit further outwards, and then I just continue and thicken the line slightly more as I come out to here, and then just lift it up with a wing. And what that tends to do is elongate my eye shape rather than making it look wider. It makes it look longer, and also lifts it as well, just because of the little flick at the end. So I'm just going to give my lashes a quick curl, not too much though, because I am going to be putting some falsies on, and sometimes if your lashes have too much curl to them already, it can make it a little bit difficult to try and place them down with the glue on. So just a slight curl, and then a nice coating of my favourite Better Than Sex waterproof mascara from Too Faced. And I don't know if you guys find this, but I tend to find that I have a favourite eye from mascara. This eye always looks way better than this eye, and I don't know why. Basically, these lashes just don't want to play the game. So if anybody else experiences this struggle, then let me know in the comments. Time to add the lashes that I mentioned, and I'm going to be using the Eyelaw. I think they are the style 170, which is like a wispy style, which you'll see in a moment, but I will, as I do with all of my products in my videos, I will link it down in the information box below so you can see exactly what I've used and where to get it. Just popping some of my latex-free duo lash glue onto this band. I don't use the latex-free glue because I have an allergy, but I genuinely just find it a better glue. I find it much, much stronger. For lips, I am going to go for something quite nude and neutral, so I'm going to be starting off with the usual favourite for lining my lips, which is the NYX Suede Matte lip liner in the shade Los Angeles, which is 2.0. And then I'm going to be using this lipstick, which is a real veteran in my own personal makeup bag. It's actually a collaboration that Kate Moss did with Rimmel, so it's not a cruelty-free product. So basically I'm in the process of using it up, as you can see, and unfortunately will not be repurchasing until some of these drugstore brands start to get the message that people are not purchasing from them because they continue to test on animals. So yeah, I will, by the looks of things, be using that up very, very shortly, which is sad because I really do like the colour tone of it, which I will show you in a second. But them's the rules, I'm afraid. Stop testing on animals. So as you can see, that comes out a very kind of neutral, nude, rosy brown colour. So if anybody knows of a similar shade to this in a cruelty-free brand, then genuinely please let me know, leave it in the comments, and I will very much looking forward to finding my cruelty-free alternative to this lipstick. So this is basically the end of the look for you guys. Just a really simple, neutral look that has just a touch of glam to it. So for kind of evenings out when you want to look polished and put together, but you don't want to look too overdone, which is basically going to be perfect for tonight for me. So I really, really hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more from me in the future, and I do upload every single Wednesday. But for now, I will see you very, very soon.